Hey guys, Jacob with Jacob Comics. Alright, today we got a really fun episode. We're going to be reviewing Immortal X-Men #1, and it is from almost a month ago now, but I thought we would go ahead and review it because the new issue comes out this week, and I kind of wanted all the reviews to be on the channel for all the X titles that are coming out. So I was like, oh, I better get that one up before next week, before the new one comes out, and I hadn't gotten around to reviewing it. So here we go. We're gonna get dived right onto the issue as always. First up, though, I do want to let you guys know about our 200 subscriber giveaway. When we hit 200 subscribers, we're going to be giving this book away. It's the Joker #1, Mark Brooks variant cover, and you got the Joker there driving his car, looking all crazy, and he's hanging out with Punchline. And I just think it's a really cool cover. And not only are you going to win the book if you win, but you're also going to get a cbcs sticker, which is the Comic Book Community Awards, and that's really cool. It's kind of like the Oscars for comic book personalities like myself, and a comic book channel much bigger than me is going to win that. And you guys should check that out over on Brian LCS's channel on YouTube. All right, let's get dived right on into the issue here. We've got Immortal X-Men #1, and there's a couple things that I always do cover before we get completely into everything. First off, I do want to let you guys know, if you haven't watched my reviews before, we are going to go heavy into spoilers. So definitely, if you don't want to be spoiled for Immortal X-Men #1, that's your warning. The second thing that we always go over is I wanted to shout out the creative team, because without the creative team, we wouldn't have a comic book to be reading. All right, so first off, we have the writer is Kieran Gillen. The artist is Lucas Wernick. The color artist is David Curio. And the letters are done by VC's Clayton Cowles. All right, and we start back way 100 years ago, and it's Mr. Sinister is sitting on a park bench, and he's singing a tune that he heard, and up walks Irene Adler, and she says, "Can you please stop that incessant whistling, Essex?" And Nathaniel Essex, the Mr. Sinister, he says, "Don't you like it, Adler? I've always found it most stirring. Dum 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 dum. It was on my mind. Did you know it's been 20 years to the day since it debuted? Yeah, I was there." She says, "Yes, St. John's Hall. I was there too." I had a fit as her eyes start to roll into the back of her head. Mr. Sinister says, "That was you? Oh, I remember. The opening of the 9th variation, and then, foaming mouth and twitching limbs, I thought it was an average weak woman overcome with emotion. And I was right. I could never understand how such hysterical melodrama could be prompted by such a lovely piece of music. Whatever was it about Mr. Edgar's Nimrod that so disturbed you, Irene?" And she says, "A war is coming." He says, "Of course a war is coming. This peace won't last, and we must choose our sides. And if you want my advice, if we're to choose, why choose anything other than the winning side?" She says, "Ethics. But I am not here to discuss philosophy with a sophist like you. I came here to tell you something. It will change everything. I know you're an evil man, but I fear that our fates are joined together, and whether we end up the winning one or not, I think we need to be on the same side. Listen," as she gets in really close and whispers to Mr. Sinister her secret. And as soon as he's heard her secret, he gasps and he grabs his throat as he's choking and blood's coming out of his eyes, and he just says, "You're a ghost. You're a ghost. You're a ghost." And who walks up from the bushes but Mystique, and she says, "Were you expecting that?" And Irene Adler says, "I know. I wasn't. That itself is a surprise, though I suppose I could have expected it." Mystique says, "What did you tell him?" Irene says, Raven, do you trust me? Mystique says, if every part of this world succumbed to dust, the last thing remaining would be my trust in you. What we have is immortal. Irene says, thank you. Then I beg you, don't ask again. I will tell you if you ever need to know. And we must hope that it never comes to that. As we jump into the foreword, and that says, the island nation of Krakoa was founded under the idea of mutant sovereignty and is governed over by the collective known as the Quiet Council. Over time, council members have come and gone, but the recent addition of Destiny to the council promises to test the foundations of Krakoa like nothing else before. After all, with Krakoa now firmly established in the world and galactically, it's becoming more and more clear that each council member has their own agenda. As we get into some, this entire issue is heavily voiceovered by Mr. Sinister and his thoughts, and so he thinks, and it's Krakoa now, and he thinks Krakoa, oh Krakoa, the city on the hill, oh the brave new world, Utopia, the fresh summer remix. I'll give them this. It's better than the last time the mutants thought an island utopia that was a dingy rock lobbed into the sea. Slap my wrist. Bad me, not us. Not the mutants. Us mutants. Anyway, I'm not there right now. What kind of fool would I be to put my secretest of secret labs where someone could just find it? Imagine Summers wandering in and going, why, Nathaniel, Essex, whatever are all these clones for? What could I say? Evil schemes, my dear boy. Evil schemes. X gene activated, and let's see how it's holding up. Good. Intense genetic fraying. I'd say a couple of dozen iterations at least. The telomeres are entirely pooped. But the proof is in the brain pudding. Do we have a database? 25 logs. Yes, no surprise, you're looking tired. So I'm 26. So what do my messages in a bottle tell me? What's in my schedule today? Oh me, oh my. Today is a red letter day. I must remember to act surprised. The Quiet Council, the ruling body of Krakoa, Magneto says, I have an announcement. I will be stepping down from the council and retiring to Araco. Sinister thinks it's a shame Xavier wears the Cerebro helmet now, otherwise I'd get to savor the despair in his eyes. He knew this was coming, or at least feared it. For a man with his telepathic gifts to ever be surprised by anything just speaks of his cowardice, Magneto was speaking directly at Xavier. They and Moira had a plan for salvation of mutant kind, and they fear it's going awry. They're wrong, it's going exactly as planned. But theirs is an amateur's mistake, thinking their plan was the plan. Emma Frost is just jubilant when she discovers the true extent of Eric and the professor's schemes. She was incandescent with rage. Now, she's focused entirely on the council now. She's had enough of useless men. Speak of the useless devil man. Shaw smirks, amused, likely thinking either of the Hellfire Corporation's bottom line or Emma's bottom. Still entirely under Frost's thumb now, and her most reliable, if not trustworthy ally. Obviously, Kate, nee Kitty, nee, Ariel, nay, Shadowcat, nay, Ghosty Ghost Girl is more trustworthy, but she's also more ethical. For their friendship, this will eventually be a problem. However, she's running the Marauders. She won't realize how bad things are on the council until it's too late. Exodus' nose curls in contempt as he stomps away. He's adding Magneto's name to whatever list of villains I'm on. He despises me for many reasons, but that I electively became a mutant is certainly one. Thinks me, in a very literal way, blasphemous. Religious nut, hugely powerful, sinister secret. I am petrified of him. Aurora, the goddess, looks less surprised. She knew, as monarch of Mars, Magneto broached his move with her. She doesn't like me either, and fair enough. I used to be a huge racist. I surgically excised that bit of my personality. Don't let any prejudice distort how you view the world. It weakens you. All beings other than me are lesser. Why differentiate? I'm not quite sure why this potato farmer is on the council. Probably because he's a good man, a ballast against the bad boys like yours truly. Except, get this. Colossus has been compromised by some naughty Russians. Complete mind control, no one knows yet. Except me, as I am oh so clever. Also, file under, why on earth is he here? Nightcrawler's mainly working on his definitely not a religion while being a definitely not a cop with his best bud, the definitely not a huge danger with a terrible haircut Legion. As such, his eye isn't on the game, being too busy doing the equivalent of arranging seating in the chapel on the Titanic. Conversely, his mother, Mystique, is very much a player, and also holds a grudge against Eric and Xavier. Eric and Xavier said they'd only bring her wife back from the grave if she did certain things. But we're just stringing her along. The missus was a precog. That's the only one thing Moira wouldn't have in Krakoa. Her wife would remain the necessary corpse in the foundations of their utopia, but now she's back, and on the council. My acquaintance of over a century, Destiny. Irene Adler. Scientist, seer, saphist, looking right at me, waiting. Act surprised, remember? Sinister stands up and yells, "What? Too much? Was that too much?" Mr. Sinister thinks. And Xavier says, "Eric, I hoped you would reconsider." And Magneto says, "No, it is done. I think with recent events it is better that I retreat for some time. I have done what I can as a council member. I can serve better elsewhere." And everyone's not quite mad about that, right? And so they kind of get into some arguments over it. And Magneto seems to think that he's going to be able to proclaim who the heir to his seat is going to be, but they end up voting him out, so that he's basically kicked out and he can't vote who his replacement's going to be. And then there's some sinister secrets, and so we have known to all mutants but not to humans is with mutant drug L, all humans can have an extra 5 years of life, but humanity still doesn't know that mutants are immortal. Known only to the Quiet Council, Magneto and Charles Xavier were in secret partnership with Moira McTaggart as architects to Krakoa. Their plans have been charted by Moira's mutant gift. She has lived multiple lives, her death annihilating a timeline and carrying her knowledge into her next life. Known only to the mutants involved, when it was clear Xavier and Magneto wouldn't bring back Destiny, Mystique brought her back herself. This included impersonating Xavier and giving a Cerebro helmet to Hope Summers, who resurrected Destiny with the Five. Also known only to the mutants involved, omni-linguist mutant Doug Ramsey and Warlock have integrated with the Living Island Krakoa and were always aware of Moira and prevented Destiny and Mystique's attempt to kill her. Instead, Moira went on the run, depowered. Not known. The radical human organization Orcus was founded by an AI consciousness from a future where mutants annihilate the AI Omega Sentinel and Nimrod, and they are using Orcus to prevent that from happening. They don't care about humans at all. Humanity still doesn't know that the mutants are immortal. Known only to the mutants involved, the X-Men have wiped the brains of a human reporter, Ben Urich, to prevent the secret of mutant resurrection coming out. Not known, Agent Brand is collaborating with Orcus. Known to the Quiet Council, Moira's secret she didn't want anyone to know. We always lose. And so then they go through a list of people that come to the council to try to get the Magneto seat. And first you have Warren Worthington as Archangel, and he funnily says that from a PR perspective, an actual angel is comforting optics. And Monet St. Croix, Penance, she basically says, I don't want the job, but if you're gonna give it to Angel, you should give it to me because I'm better. I'm a better choice than him. Then Tomi Shishido, aka Gorgon, he just says me. And then Gabriel Summers, aka Vulcan, he comes in and he says, let's be honest, I ruled an actual space empire. I'm overqualified. Abigail Brand comes in, says, yes, I said I won't just join Krakoa, but a seat on the council could convince me. Dr. Hank McCoy, aka the Beast, comes in and basically says that you need someone with a strong hand and precision and intellect to replace Magneto, and that's me with blue fur. And as he's walking away, Pride says, Hank used to be fun, remember that? Before all the black ops, before he dated Brand. I could barely tell him and her apart. I can't help but think if we selected either, the one we didn't pick would assassinate the other. Was that a bad breakup? Does anyone know? And Sinister thinks, I do. and then Nightcrawler says, they're both completely unethical. I don't trust either of them on the council. Sinister says, here, here. Being untrustworthy is my job. And the red-faced guy, he comes up and says, Essex, the other bad guy. And they kind of talk. They bring up some people, maybe possibly Legion, and they're like, no, he's too unstable. And they end up going, we not quite sure who we should decide. Also, additionally, Doug Ramsey shows up, and they ask him, and he says, we're not. We think it'll compromise everything. And Mr. Sinister thinks, yes, you are correct to assume that is a meaningful we. He is him and Warlock are merged with the island somehow. And then Mr. Sinister says, I can't help but think there's someone better for us. If we're an elite council, let's be elite. Nothing but the best for the Quiet Council. And he says, sometimes it's hard not to rub it in too thick. I shall have a t-shirt made. I know things you don't know. Arbor Magna. Welcome back. Can we take 5 as they resurrect somebody, and the res 5's talking to each other, and one says, I need to pee. And so Hope Summers says, okay, pee break. See everyone back here. And the bad guy from the council walks up. He goes, I'd be honored if you would walk with me. There is a matter I would broach, Messiah. And she says, please don't call me that. And he says, whatever you wish. And so he's kind of, this particular mutant on the council, the red-faced guy, he's all about the religion. And he asks Hope Summers if she's basically going to be the religious leader that she should be, and irks her a little bit. And then so we transpose back to the council where they're still trying to decide who's going to replace Magneto. And what's her name here? Vampire Queen. I forget her name right now. She'll say it here in a second. Anyways, this vampire queen girl, she comes back in and she's like, "You're thinking replacing Magneto is your real problem? You lost Apocalypse. You filled his seat but didn't replace him. Destiny's gifts are mighty indeed. She's committed to the cause. This we cannot doubt. But she does not replace Apocalypse. I offer skills that none of you have. No one in this room knows magic. Celine, that's who this is. Um, and so Celine's basically making her bid to take Magneto's place. And as maybe they're possibly thinking, okay, you might be our guy. In walks Hope Summers. She says, "Yeah, that sounds like a good pitch, but it needs to be me." And Xavier says, "Hope, you're not invited to this session. We can arrange a time for." And Hope cuts him off. "Yeah, I know, but I think we can cut to the chase. It has to be me." Celine says, "Don't you have things to be doing, child, like resurrecting everyone? And Hope Summers says, "We do, and we will. All the five have worked our butts off on this. It's been our whole lives. But there's been enough stuff going on, which the five aren't sure about. I've been a good soldier for a year now, and the good soldier has lost a little faith. We all have. The five are what this whole island rests on. If we're not being heard or are worried about what's going on, that's a real problem. So if we want it, the five needs to have representation on the council. We want it." Mr. Sinister says, "Am I the only one who hears an or else here? I swear I do." Hope Summer says, "Maybe. But it's more than that. I know it's weird. But all the mutants love us. They know what we do. I'm embarrassed by it even. How much they look up to us. I don't think that people hearing I was refused is going to make the council popular. It's not really an ultimatum. I just don't see that you have any other option." And Xavier says, "Celine, thanks for your time. The council will discuss this matter." And she gets angry and says basically like, "I'm gonna take you guys' gate to Mars away if because it was created with magic. So I'm gonna take it away if you don't give me the seat on the council." And they're like, "Should we take that seriously?" And they end up saying, "No, I wouldn't really worry about that." Okay, let's vote on whether Hope Summers is elected to the council to replace Magneto's spot. And so we go down the list. Xavier says no. And Emma Frost says yes. Colossus says no. Mystique says yes. Mr. Sinister says no. Destiny says no. And then Sinister thinks to himself, crap. And then Nightcrawler says no. And he thinks, why didn't I just burn all of her DNA? Does she know that I know? Storm says no. Sinister thinks, oh crap. The red-faced guy says yes. And Sinister thinks, I need Hope on the council. Crap, crap, crap. And then he says, wait. And Xavier says, yes, Sinister. And Sinister says, I'm sorry, I've thought about this, and I want to change my vote. Give the girl a chance. Spirit of youth, fresh blood, and all that. Yes, a very definite yes. And Xavier says, very well. Where were we? And then what's his name? The Hellfire Council guy. He goes yes, and then the magic girl with the sword, the Vanishing Girl. Oh my goodness, why am I forgetting her name right now? That's so bad. Anyways, she says yes, and Emma Frost says yes, and says, and unless Sinister wants to flip flop again, that's 6-5 in favor. And Mr. Sinister thinks, don't look at destiny, don't give anything away. We'll find out. You live, you learn. That's kind of the point. Living is empiricism. Hope takes the autumn seat. I'll inform Celine, says Xavier. And Xavier heads out to inform Celine, and she is not happy. He tells her, I'm sorry. She is not happy, and she says you'll live with the consequences, and summons a big giant dragon thing that starts to breathe all tons of fire all over the portal. And so then Nightcrawler pops in, and he goes, uh, you know, Mr. Sinister, you changed your vote on a whim. For a man who brags so much of being a genius, you're an absolute fool. And Mr. Sinister says, Irene, did you know this was going to happen? Why didn't you say anything? And Irene says, Mystique's boy is correct. You are a fool, Nathaniel. I don't know anything. After all these years, you've never learned how my powers actually work? I don't see the future. There is no the future. There is no destiny. Mr. Sinister says, crap, crappity crap. It's already gone awry. Take a surface scan of relevant details from my brain. Upload data to clone. Affirmative, says his computer. Mr. Sinister thinks Celine shouldn't have escalated. There's something else I don't know. But I know it now, so I can try again. As he raises his gun, and he says, no, one day, that's not enough. The genetic breakdown is significant now. It's possible the clone is exhausted, and this won't work. Celine's attack is a minor diversion. I need more data. At the least, I need to learn what point of divergence is. It could just be chaos theory, but perhaps not. Magic always throws a spanner in the work for us rationalists. All sorcerers are desperately annoying. Plus, all the scented candles are just unbearable. If magic has gotten in the way of my plan, I'm going to be furious. Oh, my plan. There's a lot of chat about mutant circuits, which I agree are terribly exciting. I have worked on the idea of chimera living circuits. They'll be fun. It's the hot new thing. But I've had older methods, simpler methods no one else really does. Because they lack my singular perspective. You don't need to combine mutant powers to achieve wonders. You can do a lot with just a single mutant power if you treat it as the resource. Not get hung up on the fact that it belongs to a person. We could take a mutant gift, isolate it, and work out what one could do with it. For example, this gun is a gun that fires cloned eyeballs of Scott Summers. That's easy stuff. I mainly did it because it made me giggle. Fundamentally, all mutants are useful tools, not people. No one is a person. Everyone is just a resource to be exploited. Upload data stream of the battle. There may be useful clues in there. I was a pure determinist once. I believed if you knew everything, you could predict everything. I found the limit of that approach when the Phoenix incinerated me. There is the truly novel, the unprecedented. It was most annoying. I retreated to empiricism. Do an experiment and repeat, learning what you can each time. Classic science. The problem there is we have but one Earth. You cannot treat life on it as an experiment, as one cannot repeat it. Or so I thought. Imagine someone whose consciousness moved back in time to when they were born, when they died, immolating that timeline when they did so. Now consider this. Take this individual, clone them, activate their X gene. As time progresses, upload whatever you want into the clone's brain. When you grow bored of the timeline, kill the clone. And then your earlier self? You can download whatever you want from your future self and upload into the clone at the later point. Clever, yes. The problem with Moira McTaggart, she was a terrible scientist, believing that a dataset as small as 10 was sufficient to draw any meaningful conclusions. And the final reveal page is a bunch of cloned Moiras that Mr. Sinister has been doing evil dirt with this entire time. Yeah. Karen Gillan definitely weaved a good one on that one, right, guys? Like, whoo, boy. Oh boy, it was evil and dirty too the whole time, all narrated by Mr. Sinister. Oh man, I just loved this issue. I like, it's one of those things where at first I was kind of like, but it kind of grows on you after a certain little bit, and you realize where they're going with this. So, I mean, man, I'm almost like kind of speechless with it a little bit. Like I've had a bit of time to think about it, and I'm still not really sure what they're. He is evil. Mr. Sinister's evil and has been evil this entire time, and they definitely need to find out what he's doing, because he's using Moira McTaggart's mutant power and continuously. How many times has he done that? He even says at the end that she thought 10 was enough, and you see like a bunch of them. Yeah, pretty good stuff. And the art too the whole time is, it's not like killer, like I'm blown away, or you know what I'm saying, like I'm best thing I ever seen. But here's one we can show. Doesn't have anything violent or anything. But yeah, I mean, it's really good artwork. I definitely love the colorist too. The colorist is really good. Um, and I love the expressions that this artist, I apologize, Lucas Wernick, he's got really great expressions on his characters. You see this glee in Mr. Sinister's face, or like right here with Magneto with this scowl, and he's looking determined as and frustrated with the council as he is. When the girl's eyes go back into the back of her head, she gets kind of this out of there. Yeah, no, it's great artwork. Kieran Gillen definitely kind of had me on the edge of my seat, um, waiting for this next issue to come, and that's why I was like, I gotta throw the review of this one up there. That way, if I end up reviewing number two, they're not just completely lost as to what's going on. Because yeah, that's quite the reveal that Mr. Sinister has been doing his evil machinations this entire time. There he is on the front cover too, definitely looking dirt like a bad guy. So maybe we got some Mr. Sinister bad guy coming up in this Immortal X-Men run. I definitely enjoyed it. I give it a thumbs up. Yeah. Remember, like, comment, and be subscribed to the channel for your chance to win the Joker #1, Mark Brooks variant cover. And if you guys like this kind of content and you want to help me out, hey, click the link below and shop on my eBay store. I'll send you some comic books. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a great day, okay?